All right, so we are going through and I am training you on how to do the kind of proofreading I want done for my future books, in addition to me doing my own proofreading. A nice triple check, if you will. So step one, we always make sure we are reading our passages out loud, and we are going to be looking for anything that doesn't sound right. So, chapter 21, Ethan. The moment Mara steps into Mariner's Lounge, the amber light swells around her like a halo. She glides toward our secluded booth, the navy sheet death hugging her curves, each step deliberate and confident. I feel the shift in the air as if she's not entering a room but claiming it. My heart races, a primal instinct igniting within me. Her throat, delicate yet strong, moves a little as she lifts the glass to her lips. I can't help but track every detail the way her eyes scan the space, no longer filled with trepidation, but with a fierce ownership that sends a thrill through me. This woman, this creation before me, is a stranger and yet intimately familiar. She is mine, and the possessive knot in my gut tightens. Power hums beneath her skin, radiating from her like a heat from a fire. I leaned back, allowing myself a moment to bask in her transformation. What? She asked, a half smile teasing the corner of her mouth. A secret shared only between us. Nothing, I reply, my voice steady as I roll a whiskey in my glass. The soft clink of ice against crystal punctuates the tension between us. The amber liquid reflects the warmth of her skin, and I'm struck by the thought. I will taste it. Watching her, this lounge transforms into a stage of our unfolding power dynamic. Don't like that. I feel like that spells something like it's too on the nose. Each whisper of conversation, the low hum of laughter, feels like a calculated performance, and I am acutely aware of the stakes. This booth, chosen for its assets, deep shadows, and clear sightlines, perfectly frames her. My gaze narrows on the silver clasp of her throat, where my fingerprints left a silent claim. Her face, framed by loose waves, holds no trace of its haunted edges, only something solid and present. You've been staring, she observes, not an accusation, but statement of fact. Her voice holds only a calm acknowledgement of my attention, stripped of fear or uncertainty. We repeat this a lot. Stripped of fear or uncertainty, filled with trepidation, of my attention. I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of that last bit. You've given me a reason to, I respond, my voice deliberately rough. You look different tonight. Different how? She takes another sip, her eyes never leaving mine. The question isn't defensive or searching for validation. She knows exactly how she's changed. She simply wants to hear me articulate it. It's been a week since she published her book, and the haunted... It's been a week? It's been a month, because later chapters say that it's been months that she's been with Ethan, so it needs to be a few months, so it's all like in the appropriate timeline. And since she published her, so it's been a few months since she published her book, and the haunted specimen I captured is gone. Now she moves like she knows the ground won't shift beneath her feet. It won't. I own the ground. You settled, I've told her, choosing my words with precision. Into yourself, into us. She gives a simple, sharp nod. The assessment needs no elaboration. She doesn't flinch when I reach for her glass. Doesn't question when I taste her wine before returning it. These is our new language, these small unspoken surrenders. Her eyes hold mine for a long moment before my gaze drops to the book between us, unmentioned. I never demanded to read it. Her surrender of those pages must be total. Why is there a book between you? That makes no sense. You guys are at a dinner table. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get rid of that sentence. A server approaches with practiced deference, his eyes downcast. Mara watches him with steady interest of a woman secure in with steady interest. We already know. We've already said that like 5 times already. With steady interest. Watches. Watch. Um. And when he leaves, her gaze returns. Wait, this doesn't make a lot of sense. Mara watches him with steady interest. Um, this doesn't. That's something a line in it I think would be able to catch. So we'll just make a note of this sentence. This doesn't seem right. Doesn't read well. If I could spell doesn't, that would be great. What are you thinking? She asks. Once she would have stayed silent, afraid to trigger. We can get rid of all of that. We've already established that she's changed, and we've already used my gut, a not tightening. We've already used similar language up top here, so we don't need that. Say that again. The truth leaves my lips before I examine it for sharp edges. That you're whole. The words hang between us, simple and that you've changed, different how you've settled. Oh yeah, okay, that tracks. The world hangs between burning like sand, quickly replaced with something more, a connection, perhaps a shift of something inside me. The truth of my own words splinters through me, hollowing out my chest. She is an curated object. She is a woman, my woman. Yes, the possessive. The possessive still thrums through my blood, but someone complete. This distinction cuts through me like a blade, challenging a lifetime spent locking away beautiful things to protect them from the war that would break them. But Mara isn't porcelain to be kept behind glass. Not a possession, not anymore. She's a partner. The realization should unravel me, should tighten the iron bands of control around my ribs. Instead, it settles into my marrow, cementing a new truth between us. Ethan, her voice pulls me back, the edge of concern cutting through the haze or elsewhere. Just thinking, I reply, reaching to press my fingers against the back of her hand. The contact burns through me, not a brief but eternal, not brief but eternal, a welcome mark on her pulse. She turns her palm upward, an invitation I accept without invitation. My palms interlacing with hers, the public display, the silent claim is a new current in my blood. Not something to be kept in a glass, but something to be touched, challenged, and claimed. The moment stretches between us, charged with unspoken understanding. Then footsteps approach, confident, sharp, and a shadow falls across our table, fracturing the moment. A cultured voice cuts through the quiet, laced with condensation. I can't say that word. Blackwood, thought that was you lurking in the corner. The voice is enough. Thorn, a parasite masquerading as a dealer. His breath weak, reeking of stale ambition. I release Mara's hand, straightening in my seat as I offer him a nod, acknowledges his presence without inviting it. Thorn, I replied, not lurking, enjoying private evening. I need to do. Oh shoot! No, come back. I need you. And I need to make note of that character for continuity, so I don't forget him. As a parasite masquerading as a dealer. Okay. He either misses or ignores the dismissal. His gaze slides over Mara, a dismissive inventory, decoration. The disrespect is an itch under my skin as he pulls up a chair without invitation, positioning it closer to me than to her. Been meaning to ask you about the Yeats collection, he says, signaling a server as if he's been invited to join us. The market shifting, all these digital publications flooding the space. Self-publishing nonsense, driving down the value of the written word. His eyes flick to Mara, dismissive. Wouldn't you agree traditional publishing maintains a certain quality control? Thing these amateur efforts will relax. My grip tightens on the whiskey glass until the crystal threatens to crack. A fatal miscalculation. I open my mouth to end him, but Mara's voice, cold, precise blade, lands first. Actually, she says, leaning slightly toward traditional publishing. Traditional publishing has always been a gatekeeper of marketability, not quality. The line between amateur and professional is artificial and often predatory. Thorn blinks, visibly startled by both her interjection and its content. His head swivels toward her as if seeing her for the first time. The real shift, Mara continues, her tone conversational but precise, isn't the quality of the work being produced, but in who profits from it. Traditional publishers maintain the illusion of curatorial expertise to justify taking the majority of their earnings from the actual creators. She smiles, the expression pleasant but unyielding. But then, you know that better than most, wouldn't you, Mr. Thorne? Your collection focuses on authors who died in poverty while their publishers built empires. Damn, that line snaps. Man, I did good there. His gaze snaps to me, a silent demand that I put her in her place. I don't move, and in that stillness, a raw heat sears my chest. She doesn't need my protection. She is my weapon. No, more than a weapon, my queen. The thought burns through me, a raw possessive pride harder than I've ever known. Any I've known. I never said ever. She's right, I simply say, placing my hand on the table between Mara and Thorn, a boundary line drawn in flush. The value was always in the creator, not the curator. Thorn recovers enough to forward a tight laugh, but didn't realize your companion was so opinionated on literary matters. My partner, I correct him, sliding the word like a blade between his lips. And yes, she would know. Mara just published her first novel. Her breath catches at my public acknowledgement, a slight tremor that registers against my own skin. The surprise in her eyes coil something possessive in my chest. She's only now seeing her true place in my world. How progressive of you, Thorn grits out, pushing his chair back with a scrap that sounds like surrender. I should let you get back to your evening. You should, I agree, not bothering to soften the dismissal. Damn, Ethan's a dick. Love it. He retreats into the ambient crowd of the lounge. When I turn back to Mara, her expression is unreadable. A live wire energy radiates from her, prickling against my own skin. Partner, she echoes, the word a question with layers I'm not sure I can answer. I reach across the table again, this time placing my hand on her arm, feeling the warmth of her skin through the fabric of the dress. The touch is delicate, a possessive anchor claiming her body and the space she occupies in my world. Yes, I say simply, the certainty in my voice surprising even me. That's what you are. The slight widening of her eyes tell me she understands. The words land between us, redrawing the map. Ooh, we keep using the word lands between, we keep using stuff like in between us and drawing the map and being the center. So this is a sentence that we want to flag because that seems really similar to some other lines that we've already used. Phrasing needs to be changed up some. She places her hand over mine, her fingers light but present. I like that, she says quietly. The simple honesty in those 3 words lands like a physical blow. We sit like that, connected by touch, the ambient sound fading. Looking at her now, the truth lands, sharp and absolute. In breaking her, I reforged myself. The realization doesn't disturb me as much as it once might have. Instead, it settles into me with satisfaction of a locking click into place. A problem solved, a pattern completed. I've spent my entire life collecting beautiful things, but Mara, she's not to be collected. She is a world I will claim. My woman, my partner, mine. Just as our new understanding settles, my gaze flickers across the room and locks on to a familiar silhouette, a shift in the air, a whisper of wrongness sours the moment in my gut. Okay, the time stretches. Does this sound good? Just as new understanding settles, my gaze drifts across the room and locks on a familiar silhouette. A shift in the air, a whisper of wrongness sours the moment in my gut. Time stretches thin and sharp as a wire. The ambient sound of the lounge, quiet conversations, the clink of crystal, a muted piano collapse into silence. The sound sharpens my focus. Not us, her. He's watching Mara. My gut clenches in the first ice hollowing uh, at my god that words. My guest oh my god. My gut clenches, a fist of ice hollowing me out from the inside. My father isn't here for me. He's dissecting her, mapping her pressure points for destruction. I've seen that look before in boardrooms, in back alleys, in the moment before he destroyed people who stood in his way. Ethan, Mara's voice sounds distant, even from inches away. What is it? Um, hmm. I don't answer. My voice would betray the cold shift in my blood. Instead, I cover my hand with mine, a gesture that might look affectionate but serves as an anchor. Nothing important, I lied to someone I recognized. Her eyes search mine, seeing more than I want her to. Her perception has sharpened since her surrender. The way she watches me now is honed, dangerous. She doesn't press, but her quiet assessment is a palpable thing. A hum of awareness resonating in the space between us. Again, with the between us, like we use this language. Why do we use this language so much? Across the room, Gramp takes a deliberate sip of his drink. We should I should be putting in Ashton Ford, so there's an identifier besides the first name. Takes a deliberate sip of his drink, scotch neat as always. The gesture is a message. He's not leaving, he's not approaching. He's establishing presence, making sure I know this encounter is no accident. That deliberate stillness, it sends me reeling back. Suddenly, I'm 22 again, standing and steady, blood from my split lip staining my collar. I press my fingers in the table, the sharp edge grounding me. I pull myself back to the present with practiced discipline, no memories, only calculation. Because we are in danger, Graham doesn't make social calls. His presence here. Uh, uh, uh. Okay, so this is I did a repeated line here. Because we are in danger, doesn't make social calls. This sentence is repetitive. The memory seeds. This is a repetitive. We can go ahead and we can say, I press my fingers into the table, the sharp edge grounding. I pull myself back to the present with practice discipline, no memories, only calculation, because we are in danger. Graham doesn't make social calls. I catalog the room without appearing to do so. Every cell an alarm. 2 guards at the entrance, another by the private exit. But that means nothing. He never shows his full hand until a killing stroke. Mara's voice draws me back. Your hand is cold. She observes, quiet but steady. Her gaze assessing, unafraid, seeking mastery. Her gaze is see, I don't know what the board has to do with it, so we're just going to get rid of it. I forced myself to release the tension in my fingers where they tightened over hers just to chill, as they mean her eyes directly. Nothing worth concerning yourself with. But that's not true anymore, is it? This is no longer just my problem, my battle. My history resurfaces to claim this debt. Graham's interest makes her, sovereign circle. Graham's interest makes her a target, and the realization is a blade, sharp and unfamiliar, twisting beneath my ribs. I watch her now, so composed, and remember the months I spent building the sanctuary, cataloging every preference and pressure point. I curated her like my rarest acquisition. But watching Graham's eyes assess her, a sudden shock clarity hits. She's not a book to be protected. This, we've already established all of that, these two sentences, so we can go ahead and get rid of that. Okay, and I'll ruin. So I watch her now, so composed. Remember the months I spent building the sanctuary, cataloging every preference and pressure point I created, like my rarest acquisition. And I'll ruin anyone who tries to take that away. The realization hits like a physical blow. I don't allow it to show. Um, we don't need that sentence. I draw a controlled breath, forcing my heartbeat to steady, my grip on her hand to loosen until the pressure becomes reassuring rather than desperate. Um, I draw a slow breath. We already did the breath thing. Tactical, we can get rid of that sentence. Tactical calculation overrides revelation, a muscle memory from years of navigating Graham's particular brand of warfare. We're moving, I tell Mara quietly, my voice pitched low enough only she can hear. Not an explanation, there's no time for that, but a directive delivered with calm authority she's learned to trust. Her eyes flick to my face, reading the change in my expression with a sharpened perception she's developed. She doesn't ask questions, doesn't demand explanations. She just nods once, her fingers tightening briefly against mine before relaxing. I catch James' eye from across the room. Who's James? Did we ever establish who James is? Did we establish James? I'm sure he's the maitre d', but I can't remember if we did. And also, there needs to be a name change. Also needs to be a. And also, if it's the maitre d', we would just say change name. Change name to maitre d'. A subtle lift of my chin, a gesture refined through months of silent commission. Yeah, we're just gonna change this to maitre d'. We most likely didn't. Maitre d'. I probably spelled that wrong. Maitre d'. Maitre d's. I from across the room, a subtle lift of my chin. Perfect. Mr. Blackwood, he says, carrying the perfect pitch of deference. Your private room is available when you're ready. The words are code, understanding, and executed flawlessly. He knows when discretion becomes. Uh, he knows when discretion becomes survival. I've ensured his loyalty with more than just money. Thank you, I reply, standing with deliberate casualness, as if this was always the plan. We'll take it now. Mara rises beside me, her movements graceful despite the undercurrent of tension she must sense. The navy, we already talked about the navy sheath dress. We can just say her dress. How about that? Her dress moves with her like liquid shadow, and I'm struck again by how complete she appears, how utterly composed, even in the face of danger she doesn't fully understand yet. I place my hand on she doesn't fully she understands the danger. She just doesn't know about Graham sense yet. I place my hand on the small of her back, guidance, protection, possession, and feel a slight tremor that runs through her at the contact. Not fear, but awareness. She knows something has okay, so we can just get rid of this sentence then, because this is a duplicate. I place my hand on the small of her back, guidance, protection, possession, and feel the slight tremor that runs through her at the contact. No fear, not awareness. She knows something has shifted, even if she doesn't know what. James, dear God. D. The maitre d' leads us away from the main dining area, his path carefully chosen to avoid Graham's sightline while maintaining the appearance of casual movement. We pass other tables where conversations continue in hushed tones, where crystal glasses catch the amber light, and where normal people conduct normal lives without the weight of history, and the weight of secrecy. That's a better word here. Pressing against their shoulders. The transition. We can go ahead and just get rid of that sentence. We already talked about it. We move through the lounge carefully designed spaces, past the bar where expensive whiskey gleams and bottles arranged like trophies, past outflows where shadows pool deep enough to hide secrets, past windows that frame the harbor's lights in geometric patterns against the darkness. Mara's heels make soft sounds against the polished floor, each step measured and controlled. She doesn't look back toward where Gramps sits, doesn't scan the floor or scan the room for threats she can't identify. She trusts my lead completely, and that trust is both a gift and a responsibility that settles heavily in my chest. James guides us toward... Oh, no, Major D. Maitre D. The maitre d' guides us toward a service corridor I've used before, a passage designed for absolute discretion we now require. The walls here are paneled in dark wood, lit by recessed fixtures that cast no shadows, everything designed to be invisible, forgettable, secure. The staff we encounter, some sommelier carrying vintage bottles, a server balancing a tray of crystal, step aside with practiced deference, their eyes averted, their movements respectful of our privacy. They know better than to see too much to remember faces they shouldn't recognize. They're ghosts in my design. We can get rid of that. As the corridor opens into the anteroom, I bring us to a halt. The maitre d' pauses to produce a key from his jacket with a magician's flourish. The private dining room beyond is what I would need. Isolated, secure, and with sightlines I can control and exits I can monitor. Will there be anything else, sir? The maitre d' asks. His tone neutral, but his eyes sharp with understanding. He knows Graham, knows the history, knows enough to be concerned without needing details. Privacy, I tell him simply. Complete privacy. He nods once, professional and absolute. Of course, I'll ensure you're not disturbed. The door closes behind him with a soft click that sounds like a seal engaging, separating us from the rest of the world. A private dining room spread before us, intimate, controlled, and defensible. A sanctuary carved from necessity. Mara moves to the window, her silhouette elegant against the glass that frames desk and harbor's lights. She doesn't ask about maitre d's deference. She doesn't question the smooth efficiency of our transition. She doesn't question. Yeah, she leans. She learned to read to trust. I watch her settle into one of the other chairs. Her movements fluid and confident, even in the unfamiliar space. The table between us is set for intimacy with white cloth crisp. The setup looks elegant, civilized. I bet the gleaming knives catch the light like scalpels, and I can't shape the feeling that we're preparing for surgery, not dinner. The pristine cloth waits for blood that hasn't spilled yet. Mara's eyes meet mine from across the table. Questions forming in their depths. Before she can voice them, footsteps echo in the corridor beyond, confident, measured, inevitable as gravity. My fingers find hers across the white, expansive cloth, fingers interlacing with desperate precision. The contact burns through me and anchor and claim and promise all at once. Whatever happens, I'll tell her quietly, I tell her quietly, my voice carrying the weight of absolute conviction. You're safe. The footstep stops outside our door. The door opens without ceremony, and Graham. Oh no, is it? Oh no, did I spell it wrong? No! It's just Ashford. I got that confused. Perfect. Graham Ashford steps into our sanctuary like he owns place. In a way he does. His presence fills the space immediately, not through size or volume, but through the particular gravity that comes with absolute confidence in one's own power. A young waiter hovers behind him, his face flushed with embarrassment and poorly concealed fear. I'm terribly sorry, Mr. Blackwood. I tried to explain that this room was private, but Mr. Ashford insisted. It's fine. The word leaves my mouth practiced calm, even as rage boils and make it like a living thing. I whip the waiter away with a gesture that books no argument, my eyes never leaving Graham's face. You can go. The waiter retreats with visible relief, the door clicking shut behind him. The sound echoes in the sudden silence, trapping us together in this elegant cage. Graham surveys the room with assessing gaze of a predator marking territory, taking in the pristine table setting, the soft lighting, and the careful arrangement designed for intimacy. His smile, when he looks at me, is sharp enough to draw blood. Ethan! My name in his mouth sounds like a judgment already passed. Still hiding corners, I see. He moves to the table with fluid confidence that I once believed made him untouchable. A part of me still believes it, but now there's Mara to consider, and that changes every calculation. Without waiting for invitation, he never waits for anything. Graham pulls out the chair directly across from me, the one that would position him between Mara and the door. The choice is deliberate, tactical. He settles into the leather with the satisfied air of a man who just won the first move in a chess game. Mara sits beside me, her body language not readable to someone who's just learned, her subtle but readable to somebody who has learned every nuance of her responses. Her shoulders now drop back slightly, her spine straightening in a way that signals discomfort without betraying her fear. Her hands move fractionally closer to mine on the white tablecloth, seeking anchor without appearing to need it. The sight of her discomfort sends a fresh wave of cold fury through my bloodstream. I press my thumb against the table's edge, channeling the rage into controlled stillness. Control Graham taught me through violence. It will not give him the satisfaction of seeing him lose composure, not with Mara here, not ever again. I let out a slow, silent breath, locking the rage away. Graham, I acknowledge. My voice pitched to match his casual tone. This is Mara Jennings. The words taste like ash in my mouth, but they serve their purpose. This is my... I like the idea of putting in, this is my partner, Mara Jennings. The words taste like ash in my mouth, but they serve their purpose, establishing boundaries, maintaining distance, and refusing to give Graham any additional ammunition. I don't explain who he is to me, don't provide context that might make Mara more vulnerable than his presence already has. But Graham's laugh cuts through my careful neutrality like a blade through silk. Oh, Ethan, he shakes his hand with mock disappointment, the gesture carrying echoes of childhood corrections, the lessons learned of pain and humiliation. Is that any way to introduce your own father? The words hung in the air between us, heavy with implication and threat. Mara's sharp intake of breath is barely audible, but I feel it through every nerve ending. The revelation lands exactly as Graham intended it to, destabilizing or reorganizing everything she thought she understood about this moment. Mara, darling, Graham continues, turning the full force of his attention on her like a spotlight. I'm Graham Ashford's Ethan's father, though he seems to have forgotten his manners along with his family obligations. His voice carries the culture charm that once opened the door through desk havens, elite circles, the same practiced warmth he used to convince business partners to sign contracts that would eventually destroy them. We need to add in something about his ties to Sovereign Circle in that statement. Include his No, actually, maybe I don't. Maybe I don't need to do that. Mara meets his gaze directly, her composure impressive, despite the obvious tension. Mr. Ashford, she says simply, offering neither warmth or hostility, just acknowledgement, neutral and careful. The restraint in her response, the stillness in her posture tells me everything, tells me she's reading the currents in the room. She knows danger when she sees it, even when it's in inexpensive suits. Oh Jesus. Okay, oh my God, we're almost done. The restraint. Graham smiles. Graham smiles. Widens. Graham's smile widens, pleased by her wariness. He feeds on discomfort, and he has always derived satisfaction from making others feel off balance. Please call me Graham. After all, we're practically family now, aren't we? The possessive implication in his words make my jaw clench. I see the satisfaction in his eyes. He's claiming her through me, establishing dominion over a relationship before we can process his process. Classic Graham. Psychological warfare disguised as social courtesy. Mara and I are having a private dinner. I say each word, carefully controlled. Perhaps we could arrange to meet at a more convenient time. Oh, but this is a perfectly convenient time for me. Graham signals the air. Shadow. Somehow a server appears instantly, moving with the kind of efficiency that suggests pre-arrangement. Scotch, neat, the Malcolm 30, or if you have it. Of course they have it. Graham's influence extends through desk havens, elite establishments, like roots through soil, visible but pervasive. The server nods and disappears, leaving us alone with our mounting tension and the pristine table setting now that feels like a battlefield, then more like a battlefield than a dinner setting. Besides, Graham continues settling more comfortably into his chair. I haven't seen enough of my son lately. We have so much catching up to do. The words are pleasant enough on the surface, but they carry undertones that make my skin crawl. We both know he hasn't sought me out for family bonding. Graham doesn't make social calls. We already said he doesn't make social calls. I know we introduced that Graham's part of Sovereign Circle up here, so I don't want to give anything away. It could just be a bad, yeah, okay. But we already said he already makes social calls. We can get rid of it, because we both know he hasn't sought me out for family bonding. He makes moves in games, and most people... We both know he hasn't sought me out for family bonding. He makes moves in games most people don't even know they're playing. Mara's hands find mine beneath the table, her fingers cool against my palm. The contact steadies me, reminds me of what I'm protecting, what I have to lose if I let my control slip, even fractionally. Her trust in this moment, sitting quietly beside me while my father reorganizes our world with his mere presence, is a gift I don't deserve but will kill to preserve. How touching, observes his eyes tracking the movement beneath the tablecloth with predatory precision. Young love, though I have to say, Ethan, your timing could be better. There are some family matters that require attention. Family matters, the phrase is code, loaded with implications that make my blood run cold. Whatever brought him here tonight, whatever game he's initiating, it's bigger than a social call, bigger than curiosity about my personal life. The servant returns with Graham Scotch, settling down with practiced silence before vanishing again. Graham lifts his glass and mock toasts the amber liquid, catching the soft light like trap sunlight. To family, he says, with his smile sharp as broken glass, and to the interesting choices we make. Okay, let's stop it.